Hey guys, welcome to your 5.2 notes. So yesterday we solved systems of equations by graphing. You put two lines on a graph and you told me where they intersected. So remember that we're actually looking for a point of intersection as our answer. So we're looking for something that looks like x, y. So today we're going to solve a system of equations by substitution. So on this first slide, I just have the steps that you're going to need in order to solve by substitution. So 1, is there an equation with a variable alone? So if it says something like x equals or y equals, that's what you're looking for. If not, you need to get one where your equation is alone. You get to choose which variable. I would choose the one with no number to make it easier on yourself. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is substitute the expression from step 2. So you've solved for a variable in step 2. You're going to substitute that into the other equation and solve for the remaining variable. Then you're going to substitute the value from step 3. So if you get x equals a number here or y equals a number here, that's what you're plugging in for step 4. Substitute it into one of the original equations. It doesn't matter which one you pick, and then solve, and we're going to check the point. Okay, so remember our first step is to look and see, is there an equation with a variable alone? Well, this one, both of my equations have something with a variable alone. So this is really saying that y equals 3x plus 14 and y equals negative 4x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, y equals this. So I'm going to substitute it into this top equation here. So it looks like negative 4x equals 3x plus 14. Okay, now we have all x's in our equation, and we need to solve for x. So how would I get that 3x over to the other side? So it's a positive 3x, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So I have negative 4x minus 3x, so negative 7x equals 14. Okay, now I need to get my x by itself, so let's divide on both sides by negative 7. So x is negative 2. Remember that our answer is supposed to be a point, x comma y. So far I've found the first part of my point. I still need to find the second. So I'm going to come back up to my original equations. It doesn't matter if you choose the top equation or the bottom, so I'm just going to use the top one. And I'm going to plug in what I just figured out x was. So I have y equals 3 times negative 2 plus 14. Okay, so now I'm going to simplify y equals negative 6 plus 14. Combine those two numbers together and I get y is 8. So my answer is the point negative 2, 8. Okay. Remember, you can always check that with the original equations. So if I plug in y is 8 and x is negative 2, does that work? Well, yes, that works for the first one. And then the second one, I'm plugging in y is 8 and x is negative 2. And again, that one works. So check them by plugging in the numbers. Both of these you would get 8 equals 8. So that's how you know it works. Okay, your next one. Again, remember step 1, you're looking for a variable to be by itself. So I found my variable by itself on the bottom. Y equals 1/2 x minus 1. So wherever I see y in the other equation, I'm going to plug in 1/2 x minus 1. So all of that is getting plugged in for y. So we have 3x plus 2 times, here's where I'm plugging it in, 1/2 x minus 1 equals 0. Okay, now we're going to solve just like normal. Okay, I'm going to distribute that 2, so I have 3x equals x minus 2 equals 0. Combine my like terms, so 4x minus 2 equals 0. Remember, you're getting the x by itself, so let's add the 2 to the other side and divide by 4. Okay, so remember 2 divided by 4 is going to simplify to a 1/2. And that's the first part of my answer. So I'm going to keep my answers up in the top right corner so that I remember that I have another part. Okay, so now I'm going to find my y. Okay, remember you can plug it into the top or the bottom equation. So my bottom equation says y equals 1/2 x minus 1. Well, I want to solve for y, so I'm going to use that one when I plug it in. So I have 1/2, y equals 1/2 times 1/2 minus 1. Okay, so 1/2 times 1/2 gets me 1/4. And then I have 1/4 minus 1. So I have a negative 3/4 for my y. Okay, again, remember you can plug these back in to double check that they work. So my first one, I have 3 times 1/2 plus 2 times negative 3/4 equals 0. Okay, use your ABC button in your calculator to figure out what this really looks like. So I have 3/2 minus 3/2 equals 0, and that does work. Okay, then you're plugging it into the bottom equation. So I have negative 3/4 equals 1/2 times 1/2 minus 1, which does also work. Okay, so I've checked my point and I know it works. Okay, last one. Solve the system of equations by substitution. Check your answer. Okay, so this one, I don't see any equation where it just says y equals or x equals a number. So when that doesn't happen, I need to solve to get one to look like that. Okay, there's multiple ways that we can do this. We can solve this top equation for x by moving the y over to the other side. We could solve that top equation for y by moving the x over to the other side. Or I could solve the bottom equation for y by moving that 3x over to the other side. So lots of different options here. Typically, I hear people say, well, let's solve the bottom one for y. So you add your 3x to both sides and get y equals 3x plus 6. Okay, once you have that, anywhere I see y in this top equation, I'm going to plug in 3x plus 6. So this is going to go in for y. So I have x plus 3x plus 6 equals negative 2. Combine my like terms. I have 4x plus 6 equals negative 2. I'm going to subtract my 6 over to the other side. So I get 4x equals negative 8. And divide by 4, so x is negative 2. Okay, again, remember, I'm going to keep my answers in the top right corner, just so I remember I'm not done yet. So I have negative 2 for my x. Now up here, I solved for y, so I could plug my x in there, or just to be safe, I'm going to plug it into my original, and I'm going to use that top equation. So I have negative 2 plus y equals negative 2. Add my 2 over, and it looks like y equals 0. Okay, so there's my answer. Remember, now I'm going to check it. So in that top equation, I have negative 2, because that's what y, or what x is. Okay, so negative 2 plus 0 equals negative 2. Now that's definitely going to work because I'm just adding 0. And then again, I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom equation. So over here, I'm using this. There we go. Negative 3 times negative 2 plus 0 equals 6. Okay, negative times a negative is positive 6. So 6 plus 0 is definitely 6. So there is my final answer. If you have made it through this entire video, I only again want you to do the front side of your worksheet. If you do the back side and you get them correctly, I will give you extra credit. So thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys when I get back. Bye.